Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in here for our last webinar of this webinar series. Today, we're going to be discussing three diets, those being the Whole30 diet, Paleo diet, and Carnivore diet. My name is Addie Lears. I'm a graduate student at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. Just talking through what I did my capstone research on. So, that being weight management practices in elite athletes. That being said, let's get into our learning objectives for the day. Objective one, we're going to be able to define the Whole30 diet, the Paleo diet, and the Carnivore diet in terms of weight management. Objective two, understand the reasons why an elite athlete may be interested in any of these three diets to assist with weight management. And objective three, be aware of the research that currently exists on the use of the Whole30 diet, Paleo diet, and the Carnivore diet to assist with weight loss. So I'm sure you all have heard of these three diets before, but we're just going to refresh ourselves on the definitions here. We're going to start with the Whole30 diet. So interesting about the Whole30 diet, it is not a diet intended for weight management. It's actually a diet meant to reset one's body. So you eliminate foods that contribute to symptoms of food allergies, intolerances, sensitivities, and inflammation for 30 days. That means you really can only eat fresh fruits and veggies, eggs, lean proteins, natural fats, and nuts. After those 30 days, you start reintroducing the foods that were restricted, those being dairy, grains, and kind of see which ones are giving you any, intolerances, inflammation, sensitivities. So not meant to be followed long term, just for those 30 days. The paleo diet, on the other hand, is based on the foods that humans ate in the Paleolithic era. So it's a diet that emphasizes consumption of fresh fruits and veggies, lean meats, fish, eggs, nuts, and seeds, but it either limits or excludes any foods that come from farming, refining, and processing. That means that grains, legumes, and dairy products are either limited or even excluded from this diet. Then we have the carnivore diet. So this is definitely the most restrictive of these three diets. It is centered around the consumption of all meat and animal products while excluding every other food group. So that being those fruits and vegetables, whole grains, any nuts. So pretty restrictive when looking at what can be allowed on it. Next, we're going to go into why elite athletes may be interested in any of these three diets to assist with weight management, specifically weight loss. So again, although the Whole30 diet is not intended for weight management purposes, some participants can still lose weight while following this diet just because it is so restrictive. Likely the participants, aren't consuming as much as they normally would be with their usual diet just because they're restricting, dairy and grains. So pretty easy that you're going to find some weight loss with that diet, even though it's not the intention. The paleo diet, first glance, it looks like a quote unquote healthy diet because it really promotes high intakes of protein, fruits, vegetables, nuts. But, when you kind of look into it, it's not just limiting refined grains and processed carbohydrates. It's kind of excluding all carbohydrates, including then that dairy food group as well. Carnivore diet. So although, you look at this diet and you're like, wow, this is super restrictive. Why would anyone want to follow this? For an athlete, if they've been, getting told their, whole career how important protein is, and they see this carnivore diet, which has a huge emphasis on protein intake, it might be enticing to them as this can help them with that lean body mass maintenance. So we're going to start looking into the research on each of these three diets. Again, we're only going to be looking at weight loss today just because these diets really aren't used for weight maintenance or weight gain. So starting with our Whole30 diet here, the creators of this diet have some health claims saying that it can eliminate inflammation, restore metabolism, and cure diseases like celiac disease. However, none of these claims have actually been supported by evidence-based research. Throw on top of that, none of the effects of the Whole30 diet have been studied in the athlete population. So, taking that all away, Whole30 diet for weight loss, again, there's no research backing any of the claims of this diet, nor has this diet been examined in athletes. The diet isn't intended to be followed long term, so it shouldn't be an athlete's weight management plan. That could be something that's sustainable and followed longer than 30 days. This diet also eliminates entire food groups, including that dairy and those grains, which could influence performance. So, taken all together, this diet should not be recommended for athletes primarily interested in weight loss. If any athletes are coming to you asking about this diet, again, send them over to the webinar series designated for athletes, and it walks through the reasons why this diet isn't the best for a weight management plan. Next up, we're going to switch our focus to the paleo diet for weight loss. Unlike the Whole30 diet, the paleo diet actually has some research on it. So, following the paleo diet as a short-term dietary intervention has been shown to produce some favorable effects in healthy and non-healthy adults. This was found in a review published in 2021. Those health or favorable effects, including reducing body weight, improving biomarkers linked to chronic diseases like obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. But that being said, the long-term effects of this diet have not been studied. So again, these have only been short-term dietary interventions. It's not known, what would happen when following this diet for months at a time, especially with how restrictive it is. Throw on top of that, again, this diet has not been studied in athlete populations. Taking it all together, then, using the paleo diet as a short term has been shown to have those positive effects in the general public and several disease states. However, no research in athlete populations. Taken together with how restrictive the diet is, eliminating those grains, legumes, and dairies, this diet should be proceeded with caution, especially until there is long-term intervention studies that show that this diet is safe and effective, including studies that examine athlete populations. Next up on our diet list, we have the carnivore diet. So, some argue that this diet can improve mood, blood sugar regulation, and can contribute to weight loss. However, just like the Whole30 diet's claims, none of the carnivore diet's claims have been supported by any evidence-based research. Again, no research has also been conducted on the carnivore diet in athlete populations. So we really have no idea how it could affect athletes' body composition and performance. Therefore, our key takeaways for the carnivore diet are, although protein intake is important in athletes for that maintenance of lean body mass, the exclusion of food groups other than meat and animal products really could lead to adverse health consequences, including those nutritional deficiencies, which likely will impact an athlete's performance. Top on that, no research has been conducted to back up any of the carnivore's health claims, nor have any studies examined athlete populations. Therefore, the carnivore diet should not be followed or recommended in the athlete population. So, putting it all together for these three diets, Whole30 diet, paleo diet, and the carnivore diet are all pretty restrictive, with the carnivore diet being the most restrictive. Anytime you're eliminating those whole food groups, it really can lead to those adverse health consequences that could negatively impact an athlete's performance. Throw on top of that, many of these diets claims have not been backed by evidence-based research. The only diet from these three that has any research supporting it is the paleo diet. But again, those were short-term intervention studies. No long-term intervention studies have been conducted. Therefore, none of these diets should be recommended to athletes for the assistance of weight management until any long-term studies are available. to prove that these diets are safe or effective for athlete populations. Again, if any athletes are, curious about any of these three diets, send them to the webinar series available for them, and it'll talk through all three of these diets as well. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me by email, addison.lears99@gmail.com. We got some references here if you're interested in looking up any more information on these three diets. And then we have our webinar assessment tool as well. So feel free to pause on this slide, jot down your answers to these 5 questions. Once you're done with them, hit play and it'll show the answers for all of these questions. Would also like to mention that there is a webinar series assessment tool to assess just how much you've learned from every webinar in this series. You can follow the link that says webinar series assessment tool for sports dietitians, and it'll take you to that PowerPoint presentation. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.